Hello and welcome to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi and, well, I guess I'm the host around these parts. We talk a lot about Arena from a budget perspective, whether that's deck techs, various midweek magics, and, well, believe it or not, once upon a time I was pretty good at this game. So who the heck is this Magi guy anyway, and why should you be listening to me? Well, couple of reasons. One, I'm a longtime Magic player. I started back in the mid 90s. The first cards I actually owned were from rebuys, 2 starter packs that I literally found. As far as other areas of expertise, my areas of training are actually in business finance, accounting, economics, and psychology, and I've always had a general interest in educating myself in statistical analysis to a larger part, and as well as game theory. So I have a somewhat unique perspective on the game from an analytical standpoint, and really feel like that gives me a good position to help you better understand the economics of the Arena system. For the moment, let's focus instead on that educational basis. We're going to be doing a lot of content on how to farm and manage your resources, and we do pretty much everything around here on YouTube from a budget perspective. How to get the most out of the least amount of effort and resources on Arena. We also bring to bear meta-analysis so that you are prepared for the decks that you're facing and making the best choices about where you spend those resources building your own decks. And of course, we do that through deck tech analysis, not just with midweek Magic events, but in particularly second quarter, we start looking at competitive decks, how to build those on a budget, what is worth your time, effort, and resources, and maybe what cards aren't. One of the most frequent rudimentary level questions that I get is how much can you really expect to get in this game as a free-to-play player? And, well, the answer to that that I have developed is built around what I refer to as a minimum level of play. That is logging in every day, making sure you get that at least first win for 250 gold, and that you average approximately 15 wins a week so that you are maximizing your XP towards things like the Mastery Pass system. So if you take that information, you complete one quest a day, you get your first win and then a second win, and that averages out to just over 1,000 gold per day, or approximately 375,000 gold for the year. Then when you factor in things like bonus gold that you can earn on release weeks because of the midweek reset that happens, the fact that you can buy 500 gold basically for free about once a set, you end up with just under 400,000 gold per year. And of course, if you're using the rank system, even at a minimum level, you're probably ending up with another 12,000 or so gold. So very easily you can get just over 400,000. I recently had my own numbers confirmed for Quest Gold and Daily Wins Gold to come out to just over 363,000. And again, that doesn't include things like the rank and your purchases of gold through daily rewards. So I feel like personally I'm right on track and able to personally validate these numbers. And folks, we accomplish all this through what I refer to as the basic play model, because being on the grind shouldn't be a grind. I'm not going to be one of these hosts that tells you you need to hit 15 games every single day or you're never going to make it on Arena. I play 1 hour or less per day for a total of 5 hours or less per week. And that includes all the recording that I do for content as well. I make sure I hit 1 win every single day for an average of 2 wins for each week. So I hit those 15 wins for the total week. This gives you enough resources to do pretty much everything you want and need to do as a budget player on Arena, while still respecting your time to do all those other things that aren't even related to a video game in your life. And hey, we keep the grind simple. You want to make sure you're completing your daily quests, that you're spinning away your 500 gold quest to maybe have a shot at getting a 750. You want to take that gold that you're farming and use it for things like jump in and quick draft. Quick draft in particular allows you to convert gold to gems, and then you want to save up those gems to eventually start buying the mastery passes to help you accelerate the growth of your collection, particularly in those top-end rare and mythic cards, even faster. So how do we make sure we stay focused, that we have the right tools in our toolbox, and that we're thinking about and acting on the right things? Well, I'm glad you asked. Allow me to present to you the Planeswalker Stronghold patent pending Clint Eastwood tier list. This is the metric that we use to stay focused on the good decks, keep an eye on the quote-unquote bad decks, and completely don't waste any time on the ugly deck. And of course, the order that you bring those resources to bear matters. This really comes down to a question of how much control you have in your selection process, as well as random effect. So then the question comes, how should you spend those resources and get the most for your collection? The very first thing that I think every player should do is get involved with Jump In. This is going to be available with new packs for the brand new set from day one release. And this is the perfect way to spend your first couple weeks of a new set, getting familiar not only with the cards, but also the various archetypes and play strategies that are out there. And not to mention, you're adding exceptional value to your collection because the 1,000 gold investment in Jump In gets you virtually twice what you would expect buying a pack in the store. I've got a whole video out there explaining that. With any amount of luck and strategy, and I got you covered there too, as far as avoiding diminishing returns and the best packs to pick in a new video that comes out for every new set. So definitely check that out. About 2 weeks into every new set, they start releasing that new set as a quick draft option. And then that rotates about every 2 weeks or so for the remainder of that season until the new set releases. So once that becomes available, then you want to start using that to build up your collection. Quick drafting is not only the most efficient way to build your collection, but it also allows you to convert gold into gems, which will then allow you to purchase the Mastery Pass. And along with that Mastery Pass, you will get a token for a premium draft. And we want to use that token and the purchase of about 8 quick drafts each season in order to farm our collection up to a point that I refer to as the coast point, where once you start opening your packs, then you will basically have a complete play set of all the commons and uncommons. It's important to note that the first season that you do this, you won't have a draft token as you do this process because you won't have yet purchased the Mastery Pass. And depending upon your level of play, it might even be the second season that you're on Arena 2. So when I refer to using your draft token, I'm talking about the draft token that you earned from a prior season. From there, the Mastery Pass doesn't really give you a lot of selection, but it does give you a lot of value. So once you have done your jump-in events for the season, you have reached the number of quick drafts you need to do to hit your commons and uncommons, then you want to unlock your Mastery Pass. That way you don't duplicate any mythics that are out there. And then finally, you want to open your packs. That way pack protection does all the work it possibly can for you, and you won't open those rares that you have acquired through jump in, quick draft, your Mastery Pass, etc. Starting with the 2023 budget season, for the very first time, I was able to very strongly recommend purchasing packs because of the introduction of golden packs, which makes your rares and mythics that much easier to accumulate. Of course, golden packs do not affect the way you accumulate uncommons, so don't get too ahead of yourself. I really recommend purchasing the 45 pack bundle every season, plus any discounted packs that you might still need. It's important to remember that only packs from the current season contribute to golden packs. So again, don't go crazy here. Buying packs is not the end-all be-all answer. While it's certainly true that as the number of packs go up that you're purchasing, the number of limited events that you're doing can probably go down. But it's important to keep in mind that those limited events are allowing you to gather those uncommon cards very efficiently, and they're also helping you convert gold into gems. Buying packs is not going to help you gather those uncommon playsets, and they're never going to help you buy the Mastery Pass. And hey, we keep the grind simple. You want to make sure you're completing your daily quests, that you're spinning away your 500 gold quest to maybe have a shot at getting a 750. You want to take that gold that you're farming and use it for things like jump in and quick draft. Quick draft in particular allows you to convert gold to gems. And then you want to save up those gems to eventually start buying the Mastery Passes to help you accelerate the growth of your collection, particularly in those top-end rare and mythic cards, even faster. So the basis of any plan to do well on Arena has got to start with decks. And of course, we're here specifically to talk about budget decks. Now, when I started on Arena, it was very much more simple than this. It was just standard. But even then, because of the way the new player experience decks works, I thought I had to have a deck for every 2 color combination. I had a deck for every mono color. I was even starting to build some decent decks for 3 color combinations. Or at least I thought they were pretty decent. But now things have changed. With the introduction of Historic, and then Alchemy, and then Explorer, that perception of more and more decks started to become overwhelming. And I don't think that's the right answer. I kind of think of that as trying to have every tool for every possible job that can come up. And unless you're Home Depot, that just probably isn't very realistic and probably not even very useful. I believe that a more minimalistic approach is going to be a better fit, particularly for us as budget players. Having a smaller selection of tools that cover, well, the vast majority of situations that we're going to encounter on a routine basis on Arena gives us a better chance to be good at a smaller list of things. And really, that's where we want to be. We want to be focused on the things that matter the most. This is precisely why I do a budget deck tier list each and every standard season, so that we can help to stay focused on the decks that are best to build in that moment. Not necessarily that you should do away with decks or regret having had them in the past, but if you're planning to put new resources in, these are where I believe your best options lie. So how do we make sure we stay focused, that we have the right tools in our toolbox, and that we're thinking about and acting on the right things? Well, I'm glad you asked. Allow me to present to you the Planeswalker Stronghold patent pending Clint Eastwood tier list. This is the metric that we use to stay focused on the good decks, keep an eye on the quote-unquote bad decks, and completely don't waste any time on the ugly. All right, so now we've established a fair concept of how much resources we will have within the game, our options for spending those resources, and the goal of building decks. So from here, I really want to talk about the different kinds of play styles that you have on Arena and how we can move around these resources and options and goals in order to accommodate those various play styles, and also get really into the nitty-gritty of exactly what to do with those resources. Of course, there's a lot of ways on Arena to interact with this game, be it a plethora now of constructed formats, from standard, historic, brawl, alchemy, all the way down to the, well, temporarily less popular options like Explorer, aka about to become Pioneer, as well as Timeless. Let's not forget also that there's a number of limited options from multiple ways to play Sealed, Draft, and Jump In. And I really believe that every player needs to have a primary way that they're interacting with the game. The most popular, of course, being best of a one standard constructed. But I also think every player needs to understand that that's going to get dull from time to time, and they're going to want a palate cleanser format of some sort. So if standard gets dull, you can fall back to playing Brawl or Alchemy or Historic and still be prepared to do that. Now, as a content creator, my primary way of engaging with the game is that best of one standard constructed format. And then as a palate cleanser, I use occasional limited play as well as the weekly midweek Magic events. Those tend to be different week after week after week with very low repetition, at least within a given season. Now, it doesn't matter to me or really anybody else exactly how you interact with the game. If you like to play Alchemy, play Alchemy. If you hate Brawl, don't play Brawl. Just find the mix that works for you, but understand that those choices are going to impact how you spend your resources. At least it really should. So let's take a look at some of those nitty-gritty numbers now. All right, so the first thing we have to understand is that this game and Arena continues to evolve. At one point we had 4 standard premier releases per year. Then more recently we've had 5, and well, starting with next calendar year, we're going to have 6 per year. And well, the total number of resources that we can gather with that limited casual style of play didn't really change. So per set, we're looking at just under 73,000 gold that we have available to us. And, well, you can play more, but that's going to take more time, and that's a decision you have to make. My recommendation is to figure out how to make that 73,000, give or take, work for us the best. So the first scenario that I really want to discuss is, well, someone who approaches the game kind of like myself, where your primary format tends to be a rotating constructed format, those being standard Brawl, or Alchemy. The good news is most of the free or easily accessible resources are generally going to be focused on the newest sets in rotation. So doing something like 7 jump-ins, just 2 quick drafts now, and then buying about 45 packs in total. That's still going to leave you enough cash to deal with the daily gems deal and pick up a discounted draft token so that you can then use that for a third draft. This one, of course, being a premier draft. Now, if standard is really your thing and you're very new to Arena, I highly recommend shifting about 25 packs back into the foundation set and then doing the remaining 20 packs as whatever the newest non-foundation set is as you continue to move through. That's going to remain true for the 2025 and the 2026 season, and then that advantage for foundations will tend to temper off and even out. However, if you want Alchemy to be your primary format, that recommendation regarding the Foundations pack will not hold true because we don't expect Foundations to remain legal in Alchemy for the full 5 years. I really expect it's going to stay on the 2-year rotation. Instead, you want to buy the Alchemy bundle each season for 15,000 gold. That's going to give you 20 packs. Yep, you get like a 25% discount on it. It's pretty awesome. And you'll still be able to afford 30 packs of whatever newest set is out there to keep you engaged in standard or alchemy alike. Now, to change things up a little bit, if eternal formats are more your jam, that's historic, brawl, pioneer, and timeless. Some of you might be more familiar with Eternal over Pioneer, but that's going to change over time. At any rate, your goals here and how you want to build decks and what decks you're trying to build change just a little bit. Unfortunately, your easy to reach resources and your free resources are still going to be focused on those newest sets entering rotation, aka standard, but those cards are going to be relevant from time to time in your Eternal formats too. So I still recommend continuing to do jump in, particularly if you are a brawl focused player, because those jump in packs are very infrequently repeat cards, which is really great. You want to make sure that you're doing one draft a month, so keeping 2 quick drafts in your budget is really where you want to be. And buying that 45 pack bundle and focusing more on older standard sets that maybe you don't have is probably the way to go. Those are going to get you golden packs. We mentioned that earlier. And that's like getting 10% more wildcards, because for you, building decks is really going to be about redeeming those wildcards for those historic, eternal, timeless, pioneer playable cards and help you fill in the blanks in your collection to build specific decks. You're still going to be picking up the Gems Daily Deal to help you afford the Mastery Pass and get more free packs. And of course, that discounted draft token, unless you just hate draft, is still really, really sweet. If you do happen to hate draft, still do those 2 quick drafts per season, 1 per month. But maybe shift that 9,000 gold from the draft token in order to buy more of those older standard packs, because moving forward, the golden packs are going to be applicable for all standard playable sets, not just the newest one, and that is really awesome. And then last but certainly not least, we have the dedicated limited player. Those that don't care about playing constructed almost never do, and really what they want to do is, well, for the most part, premier draft. In that case, you want to shift the lion's share of your seasonal goal towards those premier drafts. You're just going to have a little bit left for a couple of packs per season. And depending upon how you feel about Brawl versus Historic versus Pioneer, you might even want to spend those 2 packs on Alchemy packs as opposed to the standard du jour. You still got plenty of cash in there for those Gems Daily Deals to help you afford the Mastery Pass every season, because, you know, free packs still decent way to get wildcards. But, you know, at the same time, if you don't care about wildcards and ever constructing decks, then maybe those aren't the things to do. Maybe just let that 2,000 to 3,000 gold roll over and do a 7th Premier draft. So, some options there, really. This is by far the hardest one to predict, and unfortunately, the reality is with a fixed amount of resources, with my suggested playstyle, you're probably having to supplement this and not getting by with free-to-play, because really, even if you are bumping this up to like 7 or 8 Premier drafts per season, that's not even one draft per week. So that's probably not enough for most dedicated limited players. So you're probably looking at spending some out-of-pocket cash on gems. Really, my goal for folks like this is just to try and minimize that as much as possible. So there it is, guys. That's the plan for 2025. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. What are your findings on this? What works for you? What doesn't? We all learn and grow together, so don't be afraid to share. We're a community around here. And before we go, while every member of this community is important to me, I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to those patrons providing financial support and keeping the Stronghold from being a complete financial black hole. And of course, let me leave you with some suggestions for your next step here on the channel.